What Educated Women Can Do by Indira Gandhi. An ancient Sanskrit saying says, "Woman is the home, and the home is the basis of society. It is as we build our homes that we can build our country. If the home is inadequate, either inadequate in material goods and necessities, or inadequate in the sort of friendly, loving atmosphere that every child needs to grow and develop, then that country cannot have harmony, and no country which does not have harmony can grow in any direction at all." That is why women's education is almost more important than the education of boys and men. We, and by we I do not mean only we in India, but all the world, have neglected women education. It is fairly recent. Of course not to you, but when I was a child, the story of early days of women's education in England, for instance, was very current. Everybody remembered what had happened in the early days. Now we have got education, and there is debate all over the country whether this education is adequate to the needs of society or the needs of our young people. I am one of those who always believe that education needs a thorough overhauling. But at the same time, I think that everything in our education is not bad, that even the present education has produced very fine men and women, especially scientists and experts in different fields, who are in great demand all over the world, and even in the most affluent countries. Many of our young people leave us and go abroad because they get higher salaries, they get better conditions of work. Our country is a very rich country. It is rich in culture. It is rich in many old traditions, old and even modern tradition. Of course, it has a lot of bad things too, and some of the bad things are in the society, superstition, which has grown over the years, and which sometimes clouds over the shining brightness of ancient thought and values, eternal values. Then, of course, there is the physical poverty of large numbers of our people. That is something which is ugly and that hampers the growth of millions of young boys and girls. Now, all these bad things we have to fight against, and that is what we are doing since independence. As I said, we do have many shortcomings, whether it is the government, whether it is the society. Some are due to our traditions because, as I said, not all tradition is good. And one of the biggest responsibilities of the educated women today is how to synthesize what has been valuable and timeless in our ancient traditions with what is good and valuable in modern thought. All that is modern is not good, just as all that is old is neither all good nor all bad. We have to decide, not once and for all, but almost every week, every month, what is coming out that is good and useful to our country, and what of the old we can keep and enshrine in our society. To be modern, most people think that it is something of a manner of dress, or a manner of speaking, or certain habits and customs, but that is not really being modern. It is a very superficial part of modernity. For instance, when I cut my hair, it was because of the sort of life that I was leading. We were all in the movement. You simply could not have long hair and go in the villages and wash it every day. So, when you lead a life, a particular kind of life, your clothes, your everything has to fit into that life if you are to be efficient. If you have to go in the villages and you have to bother whether your clothes are going to be dirty, then you cannot be a good worker. You have to forget everything of that kind. That is why, gradually, clothes and so on have changed in some countries because of the changes in the lifestyle. Does it suit our lifestyle or what we want to do or not? If it does, maybe we have to adopt some of these things not merely because it is done in another country and perhaps for another purpose. But what clothes we wear is really quite unimportant. What is important is how we are thinking. Sometimes I am very sad that even people who do science are quite unscientific in their thinking and in their other actions. Not what they are doing in the laboratories, but how they live at home, or their attitudes towards other people. Now, for India to become what we want it to become with a modern, rational society, and firmly based on what is good in our ancient tradition and in our soil, for this we have to have a thinking public, thinking young women who are not content to accept what comes from any part of the world, but are willing to listen to it, to analyze it, and to decide whether it is to be accepted or whether it is to be thrown out. And this is the sort of education which we want, which enables our young people to adjust to this changing world and to be able to contribute to it. Some people think that only by taking up very high jobs you are doing something important, or you are doing national service. But we all know that the most complex machinery will be ineffective if one small screw is not working as it should, and that screw is just as important as any big part. It is the same in national life. There is no job that is too small. There is no person who is too small. Everybody has something to do. And if he or she does it well, then the country will run well. So, I hope that all of you who have this great advantage of education will not only do whatever work you are doing keeping the national interests in view, but you will make your own contribution to creating peace and harmony, to bringing beauty in the lives of our people and our country. I think this is the special responsibility of the women of India. We want to do a great deal for our country, but we have never regarded India as isolated from the rest of the world. What we want to do is to make a better world. So we have to see India's problems in the perspective of the larger world problems.